What's up, YouTube? This has been weighing on my mind for a while now, and it's how Yu-Gi-Oh has changed. I'm gonna be going over some minor examples of how the game has changed, be it map, etc. But I'm gonna be hitting some of the heavier ones as my main focus for this discussion. So first off, Yu-Gi-Oh used to be extremely simple to explain to people. Like you play your monster, they play their monster, you attack each other, winner destroys the other one, win-win. But this is where kind of the problem started becoming a problem. Yu-Gi-Oh is not as simple as it was back then, though. I know that's blasphemy. I shouldn't be saying that. But a lot of other YouTubers have kind of realized this. With especially the introduction of links and whatnot, it becomes kind of a completely different game than what we're. Even people who played Master Rule 3 can recognize if they've been out of the game for any period of time. First off, the main thing is links being a thing makes other decks not run. And that's kind of an interesting topic to bring up. Yes, you can go and play Master Rule 3 with your friends, but in a tournament, you got to play Master Rule 4. So you're not going to be seeing. I know, what is it? Crystal Beast is not really that apparent of a deck, but whatever. It's the fact that there are these cards that exist that you just can't use because the meta says no. Back when I started playing, it was more or less, build a relatively okay deck. Don't worry about worry about the ratios just a little bit, and try and have fun. And that's a problem because there weren't really any good decks back then. I mean, there were good decks for the time. Like Blue Eyes and Dark Magician were actually some of the best cards. But think about that. Cards that I've stated in the past that Blue Eyes as a monster has dropped from grace since release. But it can still be viable. And rogue decks, believe it or not, are actually where my love lies. I actually have a Phantom Knight deck set up for pure Xyz plays, not because I'm wanting to monopolize the wins at my locals, but because I play with my friends so frequently that I don't see the need to run something super competitive. I mean, yes, I've got a side deck to throw people off, but that's beside the point. I'm a competitive gamer at heart. There's just no locals around where I am, so. But kind of also the weird thing is when you go from kind of the casual scene to the competitive scene and then drop back to the casual scene, it's two very different environments. And especially now, because back when I was playing, Monster Reborn was like a super parent card. Like, you needed that for things. And I think along the way, people started realizing that the worth of one monster is not as important as all of them. And it's not saying that, not wanting to play the current meta style is a bad thing, because like I said, there are plenty of good cards out there. But and even playing what you like, I still see this from people complaining about link summoning, complaining about pendulums, complaining about. I get it. I get you don't like those play styles. I really do. But the fact is, they still exist. You can't just completely nix an entire group of cards because their play styles are different. I will state that I'm not the biggest fan of link summoning myself. Actually, link summoning is my least favorite current format. And it's because I'm a huge fan of the Xyz cards personally. But why one of the biggest changes isn't the rule book as much as the ban list. And you can actually probably see that there's a lot of spells, traps, monsters that were on the ban list back in the day for good reason, or limited for good reason, for their in particular formats, that made it almost impossible to play other cards. And there's still cards that can't be played to this day. Like Butterfly Dagger, you can't play that, which means that you can't play Elma, which is literally like the card is necessary to bring her out. But because people were using these cards, and this is still happening to this day. This isn't a change. This happens still, where people are using cards that can be used in literally everything in such a degenerate way, and it makes a very toxic environment. When I started competitive, back when I started, it was a little more okay. So maybe someone will take my cards. Well, it's not like I have anything super high rarity, so I can kind of look past it. But as kind of standardized foils kind of came out, where you were guaranteed to get foils, everything's worth that is value now, which means that there are some people who are going to try and take more, because nowadays, if you don't have a binder full of cards that you're willing to trade, and by the way, I have all commons and like foils in this one, it's more or less at this point, Yu-Gi-Oh's kind of went in a weird direction, but it's not as easy. But I think because a lot of the people, especially like me, like I grew up with the game. You take the things that you've learned to this point and then add the new stuff in, and kind of why a lot of these newer decks, I want to kind of not really touch too heavily on this as a change, because this is actually something that's been happening since day one. Power creeping, if you don't know what that is, it's where the newer stuff is going to be objectively better for the current format. Not saying that like it completely phases these other decks out. They just are more consistent for the format. Like I remember 2016, Blue Eyes ends up winning a world championship. That's pretty cool actually, but it only won because it got new support. That's what I'm trying to get across. Newer cards can fix older cards, which means that all of these newer decks being made of nothing but new cards are better than something like Dark Magician, who took forever to get the support it needed, or Red Eyes, who still doesn't even have enough support to become competitive. It's kind of weird. And on top of that, even just looking at like pendulums and where they came from, and like how they affected Master Rule 3, and now we're in Master Rule 4, and you can't even use the majority of your pendulum monsters the way that they're supposed to be used. It's kind of things like that. It's weird changes to the game, and a lot of people who don't like the changes will stop playing entirely, or they'll do what I do, build decks that are able to be used for Master Rule 3 or 4 with a couple alterations, side decking aside. I don't want to state that Yu-Gi-Oh has gotten worse. Actually, Yu-Gi-Oh has become more fun because it's no longer about bringing that boss monster out and wrecking face. It's about the climb and synchronization of your deck that makes your deck phenomenal. I see someone's watching the stream. How are you guys today? Well, the biggest change in Yu-Gi-Oh, in my opinion, from this where I started to where Yu-Gi-Oh is now, is the kind of people that you play against. I know this sounds weird because people are different now than they were. Basically, when I started, it was more or less you were nerds. You don't belong to a specific group. Well, we had that collection of nerds who played the game because it was like a pop culture thing back when I started. And then a lot of people nowadays are either nicer or upset, but you'll run into a plethora of people. It's the biggest change because the people that I played with back in the day who were all so nice or complete dicks because we didn't know the rule. We didn't really know the rules. Like we were in elementary school. What are you gonna say? Oh, you guys should know the rules. We don't. We just don't. This is kind of the last video on Yu-Gi-Oh topics that I'm gonna go through. I just figured I would go through it because I've had all of this building up to this point. So there's only like one other video, but it's actually a vlog that I'm editing right now on this. I'm hoping to actually start. Now I don't have gameplay in my live streams in this for a reason. It's very hard to get it set up, especially where I'm at right now. So, but with all that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, do our social jazz. Peace out.